I will be explaining the daily life in Elizabethan England. I'll start off with an Elizabethan outfit of a wealthy woman. These consisted of many layers, starting off with a smock or shift, which is this white dress, and stockings. Added to that are a corsette, a Spanish farthingale, and a bum roll. Next come the petticoat, the kirtle, and forepart. Last but not least come the partlet, the gown, and the sleeves. This middle picture is a realistic painting of a full outfit. Jewelry then consisted mainly of pearls and choker necklaces, as shown here. Unlike nowadays, makeup was only used for important appearances and was not part of daily life. These two pictures are pictures of a banquet, which only a rich person could afford in that time. Sugar, fruit trees, and beehives were increased during that time and were used quite often. A fun fact is that the word vegetable was hardly used. The word herb replaced it. During that era, people would do any work to survive. This work could go from acrobat to cook to knight. There were all possible jobs. These could go from easy tasks to difficult, like working for the king or queen. During the Elizabethan era, there were four noble classes: the nobility, the gentry, the yeomanry, and the poor. I'll start with the nobility. This picture on the left is a picture of a very noble woman. These were rich and powerful people, and were noble through birthright or through a grant from the king or queen. They could only lose their title through high crime like treason, which was very seldom. Next in line are the gentry, which is shown on the right picture. The gentry were knights, squires, or gentlemen and women. They were the most important class of this time. The gentry and the nobility were seen as the upper class. Next came the yeomanry, this top middle picture. They were the middle class of this era. They could build up a saving like all the others, but if they died, the wealth was not passed on, which was very unfortunate for them. Last but not least came the poor, this bottom middle picture. The poor had no money, food, or shelter. Because the amount increased during the time, the laws to assist the poor also increased. During the Elizabethan era, the Church of England existed. This was a Protestant church. Catholics could not practice their faith, and the Catholic Mass was illegal. Instead, attending service once per month was required. During the Elizabethan time, the Church of England existed, which was a Protestant church. Catholics could not practice their faith, and the Catholic Mass was illegal. Instead, attending service once per month was required. Last but not least, the warfare of Elizabethan England. During this era there were three main wars. The war between England and Spain from 1585 to 1604, the wars in Ireland and Desmond Rebellious, which was over 3 decades, 1560s, 1570s, and 1580s. Last but not least, another main war was the Tyrone Rebellion, or the 9 Years' War, which went from 1594 to 1603. In these wars, weapons like swords and axes, lances on horseback, pikes, spears, crossbow, bow and arrow, longbow, and especially cannons developed later in that era to replace heavy artillery. Therefore, the Elizabethan wars were quite bloody because of all these great weapons. Thank you for listening.